Welcome to Empower Hour. Let's get growing. Good morning and welcome to Empower Hour. It's been a little bit. I'm excited to be here. And today we are tackling common entrepreneurial struggles like analysis paralysis, the fear of losing control, and the belief that no one else can do the work better than you. Totally guilty. And to help us overcome these hurdles, we are thrilled to have with us today Elizabeth Eiss, the founder and CEO of ResultsResourcing. And after a long, successful corporate career at the executive VP level, Elizabeth transitioned into entrepreneurship and discovered the immense value of freelance talent. This led her to pioneer a human-led, AI-enabled system that simplifies the process of engaging pre-vetted virtual contact talent. Her business matches small clients with US and Canadian-based freelance teams to provide you with specialized skills and capacity. And in her talk today, and we titled it 5 Powerful Tips to Scale You and Your Business, Elizabeth will share her expertise on scaling business operations and talent optimization. She will be diving into her core message. Your time is not free, and you must invest in core work that drives revenue while outsourcing non-core tasks to processes, tools, and skilled people. And this is not an easy thing to do when you get to this place. And this is exactly where I am at. And I have engaged with Elizabeth, and I'm super excited. So get ready to walk away with actionable steps, including how to step into that CEO role, go from being an operator to the owner, leverage the value of your time, leverage humans plus AI to scale. And as a fun fact, before we bring her up, when she isn't helping small businesses grow or learning to speak French as a hobby, you may be surprised to know that she actually went freight train hopping during her junior year of college. I can't wait to hear about that as well. So please join me in welcoming Elizabeth to the studio.
Wow. Flash to the past.
Yeah, we like to, make sure we have a little personality injected in there. It's important that we have fun and really get to know each other as we're growing our businesses together. So I'm super excited to have you here. We really clicked on, we met in a networking event. Was it Connective, right? Yes.
Yep.
And we had a great call, and it was during, the time when my mom was on hospice and I was co-caregiving, and I just really resonated with you and your style and how you're helping small businesses. And obviously we're on the same mission, just going at it from different angles. So welcome, and start wherever you want to start.
Oh, well, small businesses need help from whatever direction, whatever business they're in, because there's so many different businesses. And I think that, at the end of the day, that's when I left my corporate career and joined my first startup, which didn't survive for a lot of, good reasons. And I discovered entrepreneurship. I really, from the beginning, was focused on micro businesses, solopreneurs, small employers, because it's 99.9% of the businesses in the United States. And, I just feel like the all boats rise idea, that if we can help those small businesses grow, that, everyone benefits, every community, every family, the United States,
Absolutely.
the world. It's just a good thing to empower the purpose of small businesses. And that's really what I'm all about. And I discovered personally that by hiring freelancers, I was able to empower my purpose. And then out of that became a business, Results Resourcing, because we were successful at helping people connect with the resources that met their needs.
Absolutely.
Started.
I love the bridge that you talk about between AI and human, but I also, so we'll get to that, but I also love You're ahead of the curve, right? Right now, it is so important that we are empowering individuals to know that there are options. There is a choice. You can launch a business. You can be an entrepreneur, and you don't have to have this huge budget to get started. You and I were talking off camera about when I launched. I didn't have any capital. I was starting in a hole. Really, I had a lot of things blow up in my life. My marriage, my business blew up at the same time, and I really didn't have any capital. But I had a lot of drive and a lot of skills and a lot of passion, and I got where I am. But it was not easy. And Jose, who you met, poor guy, has been with me from pre-launch. He was with me in my real estate career and watched me go through it and just pulling my hair out at times. So yeah, you're ahead of the curve because it's totally possible. And I think it's important that if you're watching this live or you're watching it later and you're on LinkedIn while at your job, that you're afraid of getting a pink slip in any moment and you have this idea and this passion burning, we're going to help you with that today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's entrepreneurship is what so many people do. It's not the easiest thing, though. There's no safety net. So all the things that you talked about, the challenges are real, and it's just figuring out how to, get your idea out there. That's really the purpose of small businesses. And I think what we'll talk about today is the things that get in the way of making those business ideas succeed and have the impact that they want, because people get bogged down in the back office of their business. I mean, no matter how small your business is, you have a back office, whether it's figuring out how to make your computer work or issuing invoices or whatever. All that's back office work that your clients aren't going to pay you for. And it's figuring out how you spend the majority of your time on the stuff that will generate impact and value. That's really the secret.
It is. And I think I got stuck in a rut for a while thinking generating content was the thing, and it just so wasn't. And I mean, that I'm not saying it can't be, but it's really figuring out what is the thing, right? What is going to move that needle forward, and then making sure that you have the support and the systems to be able to focus on that. And then the investments that you make will be returned.
Exactly. And you're investing in the right things.
Yes.
In fact, that's just a great segue into, one of my things I harp on a lot really is the value of time. And that, your time isn't free. And I think a lot of small business owners, get into this mode that, I can do it myself because it doesn't cost anything. But they're not really thinking about what that hour of time is worth. And so we have actually built this little tool called the ROI of time calculator that helps people. I ask the question, we don't use it as a lead magnet. It's really just to help people confront the reality of how they're using their time and decide how to use it better, perhaps. But it starts with what's an hour of your time worth, and no one ever says $10. I mean, the average of all the people who've ever taken this little survey is $166 an hour. And then it's, how many hours a week do you work, and what is it that you love to do, you're delivering to the marketplace. And I don't really care about that, other than I want people to have their mindset, in that CEO of their business. What value, what is their business all about? And then we ask a couple of questions about how you spend your time. And at the end of the day, all the people that have ever taken the survey, 43% of their time is actually spent on the thing that matters, that's going to generate revenue. And the rest is spent, doing the housekeeping stuff that you have to do to run a business that you need to do well, because that's your clients expect that, but it's not really great use of your time, in that sense. So it's converting some of those hours that you're spending, in that non-revenue generating work into time you spend on your business. That's really the secret. And we built this thing called the delegation engine that's all about how to convert that time that's in that non-productive work area into stuff, freeing you up so you can concentrate on what matters.
I love that. And it just goes back to the old 80-20 rule, right? Yeah. 20% of your activities bring you 80% of your income, and 80% brings you 20%. And most people spend that time in the 80%. So you're only really yielding 20% of your potentiality because of how you're spending your time, right? Exactly. So I love that. I love that. And so how do you how do you help them to get over that fear of delegating, right? Like just there's an actual fear of like letting it go and letting somebody else doing it and spending that money.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. I mean, people, love their businesses. It's their child, and they're afraid to let go, or they've been burned, or they feel they're the only ones that know how to do it, and all those things are really valid. But if you want to scale your business, start to really grow it to whether to so it can become a more material business, you have to figure out how to let go, but let go in the right way. So, I've developed this method that I call the delegation engine, because I think you can outsource in 3 ways. And this is starting with the lowest cost to the highest cost. And it starts with process, then tools, then people. Most people think outsourcing is people. And ultimately, I'm all about humanity. In fact, all of our work starts with a human conversation like this. With the smallest business, talk to me. I'll help you figure out what's the path forward. I love to do it. It's my mission as well as my business. But at the end of the day, you can outsource to process first. And that is basically documenting the core processes that deliver value to your marketplace.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. I mean, it can be a 15, 20-minute effort to what are the key things I do to deliver value to my clients? Why do they come to me? And, it's not hard to do, but people kind of get caught up in this idea that, process, who wants to be a process person? How boring. But, process is a business asset. It helps you do things in a repeatable fashion and systematize, but it's actually, if you do something well, that's why people will buy your business ultimately, because there's a consistent way it's done. So I think actually business process is sexy, because it's the core of your business.
Absolutely.
So process is free in a sense, other than the time you spend charting out how you deliver value. But process is an inexpensive way to start outsourcing. Then you pick the tools that match your process. Most people do it the other way around. They see some flashy ad for a CRM and they get the CRM. But does it really fit your business? I mean, there's so many choices out there. So to me, process leads, then you buy the tools that fit your process. And by the way, I include AI in the tool category. I'm a big fan of AI.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the 80-20 rule that you already brought up. And it's the human premium, which is the last 20% that makes it authentic. I mean, leverage all the information from AI. It's a really good thing, but then you've got to make it yours. And that's the human part, whether it's you or someone that works with you to do that for you. And then after process, after tools, then you outsource to people, because you're going to get a better result, because people are going to follow the process you want. So people are going to be less afraid because they know that the work's going to be done well, the way they would want it done. It's going to be less expensive because you've already deployed tools to automate a consistent process, so that the money you spend on people can be more intentional. You can get people that have the right skills, and hiring a generalist seems like a cool thing to do because, they could do so much, but they're the kind of jack of all trades, but master of none. But today, you kind of have to be the master, in the world that we live in, the technology world, you need to really be skillful. So I don't know, hiring freelancers to me is a really good way to get top level skills in a number of different areas that you need that will help accelerate your business.
Oh my gosh, I have so much on everything that you said. So one of the things, I have this great story, because I think process is the same as systems, right? Structure.
Yes.
And it's so counterintuitive that you don't realize that structure gives you freedom. And I have a really quick story. When I was selling real estate, I had this family that was coming up from the Bronx to Putnam County, where we have green air and space. And they wanted like 50 acres. And I'm like, okay, you're going to do you understand how much work that is? Oh no, we have to have at least 50 acres. I don't want my kids on video games. I want them outside playing. I don't, so insistent. So we find them the house, 50 acres. I run them into them in the grocery store 3 months later. And I said, how's it going? How are the kids doing? They're in the house playing video games. I cannot get them outside no matter what I do. They go outside, they kind of look around and they come back in. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't know what to say. So then I run into them again, like 3 months later. And I said, how's it going? She's like, oh, fantastic. We fenced in a 1/4 acre and now the kids are outside playing all the time. And the lesson I got from that, it was the structure. Now they know, here's the yard, here's where your toys can go, here's your, just understanding the parameters, and they had their freedom back. So
that's so interesting. Wow.
because it's counterintuitive. You would think the 50 acres is
Yeah.
going to give you the freedom, but actually it was the structure and the parameters and knowing. And one of the things when I'm onboarding into my Beyond Limits program, which is for like mostly solopreneurs and small teams, the first couple of modules we're doing is creating your accountability chart, which is an organizational chart. And people are looking at me like, Jen, it's just me. I'm like, okay, it is just you, but you are actually filling every single role in your organization. It's super important to know the role and to know the processes of that role, and especially to figure out, what am I going to delegate first? But when you do delegate it, you have the systems and processes, and you're not delegating to chaos. You really have a structure to it. So yeah, I love everything you said. Good stuff.
Well, it's funny, but nature itself is structured. But you throw kids that are used to being in a house, it's unstructured, 50 acres of unstructured things to do. It's like, can be overwhelming.
Yeah. I love it. So why is it a mistake to hire a person before you've looked at your processes or tools? And how does that lead to, those horror stories that you've talked about where you've been burned or just didn't work out?
Well, I don't want to say that's a mistake, but the outcomes are generally not what you want.
Right.
I mean, because if you just hire somebody to solve your problems, then you're going to be getting answers through the lens of that person. And so without having some thought about process and things like that, and kind of organizing things, you're kind of left to that person you picked, to pick up the pieces. And so I think that, I think people make things more complicated than they are. I mean, there's a bazillion business books and systems out there about how to do this, that, or the other thing. But to me, it boils down to 2 simple buckets: core work and non-core work. Core work is the stuff your clients pay you for. That, delivers the impact that you want your organization to deliver, even if it's just you. And then non-core work is everything else. And I think, understanding those 2 buckets is key. And it's really thinking about all the stuff that isn't core to your business that you hate to do or don't do well. And that's really, the starting point for finding resources, tools, and people to do that work. So I think some advanced thinking about that doesn't have to be super complex. And it sounds like, the systems that the modules you go through help people understand the different roles, because they are different, even if you're doing them all.
Yeah.
And that's the first step to figuring out, well, what do I like to do? What don't I like to do? And then even picking the person to do the work. Can they do the roles, that you're talking about for those different functions? But I think that there's just a lot of marketing out there, that the magic bullets, to hire this. I live in New York City and I ride the subway a lot, and there's an ad that it says, basically it's an AI ad, and it's like one prompt, done. That's what it says. And I'm thinking, well, that's baloney. I mean, it's like one prompt, done. No, there's so many things that need to happen to use AI to deliver a result that's usable. But I think that people get, they want a quick answer. So I think at the end of the day, there are just super talented people out there that are freelance, that are specialists, that want to deliver their magic, which is around a freelance talent of some sort, technology, writing, process, whatever it might be. And it's finding the people that really can help you solve the problems you're trying to solve, because it's not a broad problem. They're very specific problems, and figuring out what those specific problems are is really the answer, and then finding the talent that's going to do that. But I think, as I said before, hiring a generalist is not always the right answer. mean, it feels like it's one-stop shopping with that person, but any one person has limited time as well as a limited finite skill set. They may be super smart and super good, but I'm not good at everything.
No.
It's kind of matching your need with the people that can really do it right for you. Because to me, one of the key components to outsourcing is trust. And if you don't have trust in either the skills or that people will level with you if they can't do something, or that you can trust them to do work that you ask them to do, that's kind of the foundation. So I think it's trust, finding people you can trust, and then finding people that have the skill set that really respond to the needs that you have is the secret. And that makes it less scary.
Yeah, you're actually helping me. A lot of solopreneurs tend to be visionaries, and visionaries tend to hire more visionaries, and then you just have a mess. Okay, you have a big mess. All these ideas, nothing actually being implemented, or when it's implemented, it doesn't have the follow through and the systems and the processes. And the thing is that they'll get pretty far, but then they hit that ceiling, and that's where they start to fall apart and things start happening. And I think people tend, even if they're not visionaries, I think also people tend to hire people that are similar to them. Entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, because we think we're the greatest, smartest things ever, right? And so how do you assist in helping them to figure out what they need and who they need and so on and so forth?
Well, what we do specifically, and when before the show went on, we were talking about how businesses evolved, and I think it's just a very natural process. You evolve as the leader of the business evolves also. A lot of businesses start really by being the chief doer. You have the idea, but you're the chief doer of everything, as you're trying to bring your idea to life. And it's at every stage of a business, from ideation to actually scaling, you're constantly balancing, between being the chief doer and the CEO of your business. And to scale a business beyond, a living income and things like that is really stepping into that role as the CEO of your business. And, it's really about finding the right people to help you along that journey, whether it's working with someone like you, as a business coach that's specializing in the different areas that they're interested in, or working with someone like me. It's like, I don't consider myself a business advisor, although I certainly have the background given my life in corporate and all the experiences I've had. I've got a school of hard knocks for sure. But I've lived that entrepreneurial journey. And so one of the things that when I built Results Resourcing, it really was an outgrowth of my own experiences. When the startup I had joined years ago did not succeed, I did become a business consultant for a while. And this was 15 years ago. And I started to hire freelancers. And I got really good at finding great freelancers, really because of my corporate background. I used to have to do a lot of hiring in my corporate life. And my clients started to say, "Oh, that Jen on your project team is awesome. How did you find that Jen?" And it was really because I knew where to look and I knew how to qualify people.
Right.
And so people started asking me to find them freelancers. And that's really how Results Resourcing started. And I'm all about systems and process. And so I knew that if I wanted to serve small businesses, I needed to be systemized and efficient. I didn't want to pass on expensive processing costs to small businesses. So I actually built Results Resourcing, which is a technology platform that we use to be very systematic about how we find, vet, and curate freelance talent. But at the end of the day, we start with a human conversation, because most small businesses, they're typing into a platform, "I need these skills," a bunch of profiles pop up, and then, they're overwhelmed. It's like 50 acres. It's like, oh, where do I start?
Yeah.
In terms of sorting through all the people that potentially could match my job profile. So, I really think that it helps to have a human that's done this, actually spend some time sorting through, what are you trying to do? What are your pain points? And I work, end up working with a lot of business consultants because they're having those conversations with business owners. But at the end of the day, talking about evolution, in the beginning of the business, we used to match with individual freelancers. And I really realized through my clients' experiences that was a shortcoming, because however smart and willing that one person was, they might be great at writing content, but then when that business owner needed a bookkeeper, they couldn't do bookkeeping, or the
Right.
bookkeeping couldn't do SEO. So, you spend a lot of time trying to find solo roles. And there's just a limiting factor to that. It's just real. It's nothing to do with the quality of the people. And so I actually migrated to matching people with teams,
Yeah.
virtual assistant agencies, because there is something called one-stop shopping. You
Right.
work with an agency that fits you, that is aligned with you, that gets to know your business, so you don't have to do that multiple times. But then there's different resources on that team that can fill those different roles as you understand them and as you choose to outsource the roles that you don't want to fill anymore as a small business owner. So it's been an evolution for me too, that I've been learning from my clients what works for them. And
Yeah.
that's a combination of human and technology to provide vetted virtual freelance teams. And they're in the United States and Canada too. That was a
Right.
difficult decision. But that was really kind of the way we ended up solving this problem. And today we can match people with teams that are competent, reliable, nice, and that are available right now.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic. I don't think the value of having somebody that can find that talent and help you match it to your needs is priceless. It really is, because I've seen it and I've been in the position of having to try to find this, and uh, definitely not easy. And then you're onboarding and training and all the things. So it's a really, really valuable tool that you provide, service that you provide. So you're not a virtual assistant agency. You're something different.
Yeah, I think that, I talk about virtual assistants a lot, but I call it virtual assistance, ANCE, rather than ANT, an individual. So I'm not really trying to match people with an individual, although we ultimately do. It's really about what kind of virtual assistance do you need? What
Mm-hmm.
is the spectrum of things you have, not only immediately, but what's the next in 30 days, in 60 days, 90 days? What's next for your, let's solve this immediate problem, and then that's solved, then what's next to help you
Right.
scale your business? And scaling doesn't have to be scary either. You could want to scale from a $50,000 business to a $150,000 business and just have a couple of freelancers. It doesn't mean you're going to go have an IPO or anything like that. I mean, scaling is all relative. And I think that's really the key is focusing on the here and now, and then what comes next, and having that line of sight that helps you get there with consistent resources.
To me, the ultimate scaling is not being the heartbeat in the center of your business. Being able to almost be like you're the investor helping it run,
Yeah.
right? Instead of having, and that is the ultimate scaling, because that's where you get your freedom and your time, and then you have the profit to be able to figure out where else you want to invest that profit, and that is the ultimate. And I know that you're going to help me.
Well, that's really the key. I mean, if no business lasts forever, and if it's a successful business, you would want to live on beyond the founder. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, you want to build a business that where your vision is the heartbeat, but you as the person aren't the heartbeat anymore, because that's not a sellable business. It's too
Yeah.
dependent on you.
Yeah.
And so it's really key, going back to process, tools, and people.
Yeah.
That's providing the structure and the infrastructure and systemization that makes the business run to deliver on your vision, but not to be dependent on you to do it.
Yes. Yes. I love it. So talk to us about AI and how it fits in.
Oh, I think I embrace AI. I think AI is wonderful, but at the end of the day, AI is simply a tool to tap into this vast knowledge and experience, in the world. I mean, when you think about the World Wide Web, WWW, and the start of the internet, I mean, our AI is kind of taking that notion of World Wide Web to, a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But I think people have to realize the shortcomings of AI too. While it's very powerful, if everybody asks the question the same way, they're going to get the same answer back. It's not going to be
Mhm.
differentiated, and it's not going to argue with you. It's
Right.
always going to say, "Oh, good point. Let me rephrase what I just told you." And people really quickly now recognize what they call AI slop. Like, oh God, that nobody put any thought into that. Somebody just put a prompt in and published something. And so I think it's really clear, what AI is good at and what it's not. And we've got a lot of terrific tools, and that's a whole area of expertise in itself, frankly, keeping up with the tools and how to leverage the tools. But, to me, if I think about virtual assistants as a profession, a professional service in the broadest sense of the word, from VAs to executive assistants to project managers to online business managers, those are all examples of virtual assistants. In fact, lawyers and accountants, those were the original freelancers. That's contract work that most people outsource to, but never thought about those professions as being contract. But, so I think about this universe of professional services is very, very broad. And when I think about AI is really taking over the lower end of the spectrum, things that are data-driven, systemized, process-oriented. It's going to replace people that specialize in that kind of work. And I think the frontier, as I call it, is moving from that low end to the high end. At the high end of virtual assistant work is thought leadership, it's creativity, it's critical thinking, it's human voice. It's all those things that are more intangible that AI is not human. It's not going to. It may pattern itself or show signs of that.
Right.
At least in my lifetime, it's I don't see that happening. So to me, I think leveraging AI is important, for the lower end and recognizing what it's great at. But then it's figuring out at what point do you need that human premium, that human to step in and utilize that AI in a creative, critical thinking way to challenge the assumptions, to make sure the answers you got back were correct. Those are all things that I think are require human beings. So I think it's important for businesses to embrace AI, but to recognize its limitations and to skill up in terms of how to use it properly, or partner with people, virtual assistant type people that are experts at AI can help you to do that.
Yes. Well, like, I'm investing in my team for them to learn it. I don't want to go down those rabbit holes. I also like to think of AI, rather than replacing people, it's actually empowering people to level up, to get beyond the, just the order taking, data tracking, that skill set, to what do you really love? How do you get creative? How do you, what do you really want?
Well, I mean, it's such a time saver. I mean, it's so many people. I mean, I use it myself almost every day. Like, give me 5 ideas for this, or what are the latest writings on this topic that would have taken hours to find. So, in instance, you can get this information, which is your foundation for doing something creative. So I really think that's the way to think about it.
Yeah, and the best. What do they call it? Like, forecasters agree that AI, if used correctly, is really going to create abundance. It's going to create so much opportunity for people that it levels the playing field in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Just a quick funny story. I was talking to a potential client the other day who had a really interesting business, dog washing business or pet washing business kind of thing. And, she relayed to me that she thought she'd solved her social media problem by using AI, and she was doing all these posts and things like that. And then all of a sudden she saw a post from another dog washing service that was like 30 miles away, and it was absolutely identical to her. And so it's like, here she thought that she had, all this professional social media stuff, and it goes back to the same prompt. It's going to, give you the same information. And
you got to put your heart and soul into your AI. AI needs your heart and soul. Like, it needs that essence of who you are, and you have to keep putting it in there, because it just goes right, and then you have to bring it back. No, this is who I am. This is
Yeah.
who I am. This is what my
Mm.
business stands for. This is the greater good that we serve. And that's the thing. It really needs a babysitter.
Yeah. Well, and
Needs somebody
another
watching.
trend. I will ask it to give me some information, and then I'll ask it to revise that information, and it will reword the work it did before. So I'm constantly having to police it. Like, no, don't reword. I want it verbatim, but add this. So you
Yeah,
really have to babysit
you
to
do.
make sure you get what you want.
You do. And my poor AI gets abused a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Rah! What the fuck?
No, I have to confess, I always say thank you. I don't
I'm not the thing. Well, I will, but when it starts doing crazy things, I get really like, really? Or it starts asking me to do the work. I'm like, no, 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 no. Okay,
know.
so, but then someone told me saying thank you or arguing with it costs us all this energy. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but yes, another data center.
yes, a whole nother data center.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. So, what does it look like for someone to work with you?
Basically, I hope it's easy. That's the goal. I mean, I really tried to design results resourcing and our processes around what I wanted, because the business really did result from me hiring freelancers myself and my experiences using the platforms, or trying to tap into my network to find people. So at the end of the day, it's really easy. Go to our website, you can book what we call a jumpstart call, and that is generally me. And basically, we have a conversation for possibility, and it's a non-obligation, a non-obligatory call. I mean, if we end up not being the right choice for you, that's totally fine. I sleep better at night knowing that maybe I helped some entrepreneur along their entrepreneurial journey. But at the end of the day, as a result of that conversation, we use our system to kind of crystallize what the requirements are. And then I use those requirements, both skill and more qualitative requirements, to match with a team that's in our network. And I basically say, here's the team that I think can do the work you need and grow with you. And if you'd like to meet them before making a decision, you can do that. And then ultimately, most of the time, it's a match. And then it's a quick automated process to click to pay. We do charge a small setup fee, $685 one time. And it's after you've met the resources and decided that it could be a good working relationship for both of you, because communication's a two-way street. It's got to be good for the freelance team as well. And then literally you can be up and running in 24 to 48 hours.
You also solve another huge problem when you're trying to find virtual assistants. It's really hard if you find your own freelance virtual assistants, or even going through agencies. I've seen the same thing happen. When you're ready and you only want to start with 10 hours a week, it's really hard to get the kind of results that you want out of somebody in 10 hours a week. Number one, just the onboarding and the training, like 10 hours a week in the scope of running a business is almost nothing. So expecting them to come back the next week and really be like proficient in everything that they learned in the 10 hours the week before. And so the lag of getting them up and running and where you want to go, you end up getting frustrated and firing and saying, this doesn't work. And so I feel like the way that you do this, where there isn't a minimum, but yet you don't have to worry as much about that because they are trained and they are vetted and they, you do all of that magic behind the scenes. I can't even tell you how powerful. So while, yes, it is more than just going out and finding your own virtual assistant, the value is huge because of that kind of rat race that I've seen so many people go on with the virtual assistants.
Well,
And then,
it goes back to the value of time again. I mean,
yeah,
hiring people is a non-core activity. It's not, your client's not going to pay you for that time and effort and the retraining and the onboarding and all that kind of stuff. So I really felt that there was some magic into working with established teams that I know work well together. It's not like they're picking random people to form a team. They're a preformed team that already understand, how to work together, and they're trained in different areas. But yeah, you mentioned the minimum thing, and one of the benefits of being so automated is we don't have this back office processing team to cover the cost of. Yeah, our system does it. And so we don't have a minimum. And I find that having some agencies say, oh, you've got to start with 20 hours minimum is counterproductive, because a business may not be ready to outsource 20 hours. And the crazy thing is, if you make a commitment to outsource 20 hours, you're actually worrying about filling those 20 hours of non-core work instead of working on the things that drive your business forward. So for the business owner, I understand why agencies do it, but for the business owner, it really creates a dilemma, whether they should be doing that, because then they have to worry about filling those hours. But my philosophy is, frankly, that if we do our job, I don't have to worry about a minimum.
Right.
Because you're going to keep asking me, well, can you do this? Can you do this?
Exactly. It's a ramp up thing. It should be like with the virtual assistants, because it's just different than in the office. Like there's something different about it. The ramp up is really, really powerful. I mean, I even said to Lana yesterday, like a slow and steady in the beginning is really powerful for me. I don't need this, because I'm just coming off of, 4 months of caregiving. I'm making this shift. I'm just really diving into the franchise world, getting to know all of it. So, and she was like, yeah, perfect. Great. And that was like, such a
matter of communication. Just, if you need 5 hours this week, nothing next week, and then you're up to 10. I mean, it's just communicating your needs. But I just think at the end of the day, the focus needs to be on value. The deliver, and that's why we named the company Results Resourcing, because we want to resource results, not because we want to worry about minimums. Because I just think that, well, if we do the work well, then you'll ask us to do more work. So it's a win-win.
I love it. Any message that you didn't get out there? Because I know I interrupted you lots, because that's what I do.
No.
Any message that you didn't get out?
No, I think really at the end of the day, I really I love entrepreneurs. I love the spirit of entrepreneurship, and I wish the best for every entrepreneur, no matter where they are in their journey. And if we can be of assistance in brainstorming ways for you to spend more time on making your vision come to life, that's what we would love to do.
I love it. And I highly recommend, and I will keep everybody posted on my results of my new hire. I've hired someone to start doing appointment setting for me. I'm going back. I'm always been a prospector, not a marketer. And it's always just felt right for me, I'm a relationship, but having the time to build all those relationships and get those calls on my calendar is like overwhelming. So I'm super excited to get back to my roots, the way that I built my real estate career. And, but to not have to be the one doing all of that initial part of that prospecting, although I will be doing it too, but I don't have that pressure. Like, if you're not doing this, your business is not growing and it's not happening. And, because that's not the core. It's the core of growing the business, but it's not the core of the value of what I'm doing. So I want to feel good when I'm coaching. That's the most important thing, that I am coaching powerfully. So, and although part of my coaching powerfully is being able to say, I can pick up the phone and have this conversation with people without fear and feeling good about it, and so on and so forth. So I want to have that skill set. I just don't want the pressure of that. It doesn't align with being a powerful coach. So so I'm so excited. Like, I know it's really that move to level up. So I'm very grateful to have met you, and thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom. Elizabeth's contact information is here. Is there anything else you want to say or offer to people that are listening now, or really more listening in the future?
Well, I would encourage people to go to our website, and then under the resources tab, there is a free tool called the ROI of Time Calculator. And I would encourage people to do that. We do not use it as a lead magnet. We do not ask for your email.
I love it.
I do see your IP address, but I don't do anything with it. But the thing I find interesting about that is that I see the same IP address taking the ROI of time calculator survey like 5 times in a row, because they're basically playing different scenarios. Well, what if I shifted my hours? I work more hours on my core value proposition versus admin. So it's really interesting to see people how they use the tool. So if you do anything, I would encourage you to take the ROI of time calculator and see how transformative it will be to how you think about how you invest your time or you're spending your time in working on your business.
So beautiful. And, we have the power to make the choice. And I think sometimes we give that power away and we forget. And so it's really important reminder. So I will be sending that tool to all of my clients because it's very important that we are cognizant and conscious. We're not defaulting into how we're spending our time, which is, I think, what happens the most. This pressure, this I have to do this, I have to do that. And you get into the overwhelm. And then you're just not really conscious of how you're running your business. So
you default to things that are comfortable, and sometimes doing routine things that you know how to do,
busy work
is busy work, and it's comfortable as opposed to getting yourself out there, to scale your business.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. I am very grateful to you, and everybody, thank you for joining us, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. This is really fun.
Good. Yes, always.